Okay, so this is a simple repair for the HBS700, the LG Tone. This repair also works on the HBS730. The repair that we'll be doing today will either replace or fix the earpieces. A lot of times they'll go bad or they'll get ripped off, and instead of throwing out a $70 earpiece, it's better just to spend $10 and fix it. What we're also going to be doing is we're also going to be putting a replacement battery in it. The stock battery in this earpiece is 195 milliamps. The battery we're replacing it with is 220 milliamp. It doesn't give you much more battery life, but there is a small battery life improvement. Tools we're going to need for this: you're going to need pliers, you're going to need wire cutters, we're going to need a Phillips head and a flathead jeweler's screwdriver. We're going to need some crazy glue. If you want the new earbuds to stick to the earpiece, you're going to need some rare earth magnets. You can get these off of Amazon for fairly cheap. You're going to need a small soldering iron. This one's from Radio Shack. It's a small miniature 20 watt, and the point on it is just small enough to do the work that we need inside here. Always having a soldering stand helps. You're also going to need to pick up a replacement set of earbuds, preferably the ones without the microphone on it, just plain Jane earbuds. The microphone only gets in the way and you won't need it. So these are generally cheap. You could pick up a really cheap pair off of eBay, or you can go out to Walmart, Walgreens, whatever, and pick up a pair for somewhere between $5 and $10. So first step that we're going to do is we're going to prepare our earbuds, and we're going to do that by cutting them and we're going to expose the wires inside. And as you can see, the wires inside here are coated. One's colored, one's a solid color. You're going to find a similar one in the other earbud. And the coating prevents them from shorting out. See, this one's got a green and gold. This one's got a red and gold. The red on this one and the green on this one are the positive. The gold is the negative. And what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to remove this coating. The way I do this is I get a nice droplet of solder on my soldering iron, and I'll just stick the very tip of the wire into the solder, and what that's going to do is that's going to melt off the coating, and it's also going to put a bit of solder right on the tip that's going to allow us to stick it to the circuit board. You can do that for both wires. You only need the very tip of the wire coated, because, you only need solder on the very tip of the wire, because these are going to be very close together on the circuit board and you do not want them to short out. We'll do that here for the other one. If your solder starts to get gunked up a bit, just use your sponge, clean it off, and re-tin the tip. Now, if the wire is a little bit stubborn going into the solder, just be patient. The wire needs to heat up before the solder will stick to it. And there, we have both wires prepared. Now we're going to set these aside. Clean up our workspace a little bit. And we're going to open up the earpiece. Now what we want to do here is we either want to take a needle or the tip of your flat head screwdriver, and there's a rubber piece right on the back here. You're going to remove this rubber piece, and inside you're going to see a screw. I'm going to take the Phillips head screwdriver, remove that screw, sometimes if you stick your magnets here, it'll help you pull the screw out. Put the screw in a nice safe place where it's not going to roll away, and then we are going to open up the earpiece. We're going to take the back of the earpiece and we're just going to squeeze it a little bit, try to get our thumbnail in there, and we're going to use the flat part of the screwdriver to gently pry the earpiece away. And there we go. Now, one thing to note on the side with the battery or the charging door and the power switch is the power switch will come off and the battery door will come off. Set those aside because they get very easily lost, and if you lose them, you're kind of screwed. Now in here it looks like somebody already tried to do a repair and tried to solder wires back together. I got this earpiece off of eBay broken, just to show for this video that you can pick up an earpiece real cheap and repair it. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take your flathead screwdriver, put it on the side of the circuit board, and gently pry it away. There are little arms along the side of the earpiece, or there are little arms on the side of the housing that hold the circuit board in place, and you're just going to pry the circuit board away from those little arms. Okay, now you can set both sides pieces of the housing aside, and if you look on the bottom of the circuit board, you're going to see where the wires for the speaker are attached. There is a rubber coating where the speaker wires or the earpiece wires are attached to the circuit board, and you just want to scrape that away. Sometimes an X-Acto knife works better for this. I just use the tip of the screwdriver. You don't need to get all of it, just enough so that you can get to the solder underneath. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a little set of pliers. We're going to gently heat up the solder and just remove the wire. Make sure at all times your soldering iron is tinned while you're doing this, because it does make it a lot easier to heat up the solder and transfer the heat. And there we go, both wires are removed. Now make a note here that one is positive, one's negative, and they're very, very close together. You do not want any solder in between touching. So right here you want to inspect very close and make sure that you haven't melted this solder together and shorted it out. We will take one of our earbuds. Now obviously if the earbuds have left and right written on them, you want to get that right, and this would be the left side, so we're going to attach the left. If you look very closely on the circuit board, you will see that there is a plus and a minus on the circuit board itself. Corresponding to attaching the positive and negative wires of the thing. On the right here we have the negative, and it looks like there's no positive symbol, but we do have the negative symbol on the right hand side here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our negative wire first, and we're just going to very gently, I don't know if you can see this, but we're going to very gently make sure our soldering iron is tinned up very well. I'm just going to touch the tip of the wire to the solder that's existing and just very easily touch it, and it doesn't take much. It'll attach very quickly. You don't even have to add any pressure. As long as your soldering iron is tinned properly, the solder should melt together almost instantly. Now we're going to do the other side. Let me see if I can get some better light in here for you. Do the other one real quick. And there, the earbud is attached. I'm trying to move the light around here and fell over on me. So that's how you attach the earbud to the earpiece. Now, if we want to, at this point, I like to test it just to make sure it's working. I will turn the on button and I will listen for the startup tone. And I heard the startup tone, so the earbud is connected properly and working. So now we want to tie a knot into the earbud wire. This way it does not pull free from the casing. We're going to take our earbud casing with the buttons on it, and we're going to replace it very carefully back into the earpiece housing. Take your flathead screwdriver and make sure that you're prying it again to get it around those little arms that hold on to it. Push down very gently on it, and then you want to push your buttons, make sure that they're working properly. Once all the buttons are working properly and you're positive that the circuit board is secure, we're going to take the wire, and there's a little notch on the side where the wire comes out. We're going to stick it into that notch. We want the knot, of course, to be on the inside of the earpiece so that it does not pull free from the housing. Make sure that the microphone is back properly. We're going to take the earbud cup and put that in. Now, a lot of times I will, I'm not going to do it today for this video, but a lot of times I will cut this little plastic piece and I will take the magnet and move it further up and reposition it for the new earbuds, because once we put magnets on these, they might stick out like that, and you want them to be nice and flush. In order to get them flush, you kind of have to move the magnet up a little bit. But that is a video for another day. So now we can replace the battery door. And we will replace the power switch. Power switch is much easier if you put it back with a set of needle nose pliers. And then we will replace the bottom part of the housing. And just gently snap it together. Don't force it. If it's not going together properly, there might be something inside that's not in there properly. And that's put back together. Now we're gonna put the screw back in. Screw that down, and we will replace the little rubber stopper. There we go. Now we're going to repeat the same procedure for the opposite side. The side with the battery in it, you don't have to worry about a charging door or power switch or anything like that. This side is much easier to replace. Sometimes it's a real pain to get it to come off. There we go. Alright. Looks like the piece the screw went in needs to be glued back, but I'll do that later. Now with this, it's pretty much the same procedure. We're going to take out the little cup for the earpiece. We're going to pry the circuit board away from the arms that hold it into the housing. And it comes free, and then we'll just pull the housing away. Turn it over once again. If you're going to practice, I would say practice with the side that has the battery in it first. This is a little less complicated, the one with the battery. We'll remove a little rubber coating. Clean up our soldering iron, put a little solder on there. And there we go. Now, this earbud's been removed. If this earbud's good and you plan on doing a bunch of these, you can actually save that and use it on your next one. And we will take our next earbud. We will attach them. This one wants to be a little difficult. go. Just remember, patience and a steady hand is key here. And just like that, it's attached. I want to double check, look, make sure that there's no cross connection between the two wires. And now we're gonna also replace this battery with a newer one. Now, if you're having power issues, if the battery isn't lasting very long, I found these batteries on AliExpress.com. You just gently pry it away. It's glued to the bottom of the circuit board, or the top of the circuit board here. Just gently pry it away, and it'll come loose. Flip it over, otherwise it's going to stick again. And then we'll clear away this rubber coating on this. Everything on this is rubber coated. And there we go. Now, this battery, if you can see, is approximately 40 millimeters long by 10 millimeters wide, and it's about 5 millimeters thick. The battery that we're replacing it with is the same length, it's about 41. The width is 12 millimeters, and the thickness is, this one's 4 to 5 millimeters. And like I said, the replacement battery is a 3.7 volt, 220 milliamp battery. If you can find a battery this size with the circuit protection, the overcharge protection, that's more milliamps, then you'll get more life out of it. But it needs to be 3.7 volt, and it needs to be able to fit inside the housing here. So now we just need to clean this up a little bit. And once again, you'll see the negative symbol there for the negative. We'll add a little more tin to our, or add a little more solder to our tip here, always to make a good heat contact. the negative in there. It's hard maneuvering these little wires. If you have one of those little soldering stands with the alligator clips, that also helps. And like I said, if you have trouble transferring the heat, just add a little more solder to the tip of your soldering iron, and that should help. Alright, new battery is in. We'll take a quick look. There's no cross connection. If we twist up the wires just a little bit here, they'll fit a whole lot better. And now we take the side with the buttons, put it on to the neck band first. We get the circuit board snapped into place. All looks good. Make sure our buttons work. We'll fit the one thing I forgot to do was tie a knot in this. So I'll have to go back and do that. In this. Once again, I'm going to turn it on real quick just to take a listen and make sure it works. I can hear the sound through it. Turn it back off. It works fine. The wire through the hole in the side. Battery is secured. Now we can put the rest of the housing back on and we should be good. Oh, don't forget to replace the cup for the earbuds. Now, just as a note, if you did want to do like a custom paint job on your earpiece, so it's just doing it while you have the housing off of the earpiece, it's easier just to lay it down and spray it that way rather than having to, tape everything off and worrying about getting it in your charging port. And we will replace the screw. That's nice and tight. All right. Now we've replaced the earpiece, the earbuds. We've replaced the battery. There's only 2 more things to do. Now, a lot of times the clip that holds the wire on will either break or go missing. What I do is I buy these little itsy bitsy O-rings. You can get them in the plumbing section over at Home Depot, Lowe's. They're very tiny. When they're not stretched out, they just fit around the neckband. They look too small to go on there, but I assure you they're not. What we want to do is we want to stretch them out a bit. Use our pliers to, or needle nose to stretch them out. And we'll work them a little bit, get them all nice and stretched. And then we'll put them over around the outside of the earpiece, and we'll just roll them down. Now, once they're back here, they're still a little stretched out, but they will go back to size, and they'll have a nice snug fit. And the final step is to take your magnets. You're going to take your magnet and you want to find out which side sticks to the earbud cup. So whatever side is sticking, you want the opposite side to go on your earpiece, obviously. And we will take some super glue. We'll add some super glue too. Add some super glue to the back of the earbud. Take the magnet out. Always just double check, make sure which side is going on. Just get that nice and centered. Let that dry. Do the same procedure for the other one, and that is how you make